Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Stacy Varghese, and I am the Director of Leadership Annual Giving and Engagement at St. John's University. Today, we have Priscilla Loomis, who will talk to us about the era of NIL. If you have a question, please submit it on the bottom right in the chat section, and they will be answered at the end of the presentation. Lastly, a recording of today's session will be uploaded on the St. John's University's Alumni Professional Development page. Now, I'm excited to introduce our speaker. Priscilla Loomis is a motivational speaker and former professional track and field athlete. She received a full athletic scholarship to St. John's University, is an Olympian, two-time Hall of Fame inductee, entrepreneur, health and wellness advocate, content creator, and world traveler, with features in the New York Times, CNN, and National Geographic. Priscilla is a public figure with 10 plus years of experience in athletics and motivational speaking. Welcome, Priscilla. I will hand the webinar over to you now.
Thank you so much, Stacy. I am super excited to be here for the final of this series. I feel like it's been like Priscilla hour. So I thank you guys all for your participation, for your questions, for joining in, and for your energy, your love, and your support. I love everything St. John's. I'm very grateful. In my bio, I have to update it because now I am a 3-time Hall of Famer because of St. John's. So thank you, St. John's. I got inducted into their Hall of Fame a few weeks ago. So I'm very grateful for that. But let's jump right in. This is something that's been a part of my course for just over 4 months because it is, again, brand new. And I know a lot of people have different questions. So please, I know that Stacy said that we can answer it at the end. If you have a question on anything throughout the presentation, please write it through the chat and I will do my best to answer it as it comes so that I'm not waiting till the very end and the topic has already kind of moved on. The era of the NIL. So NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And so this is a very new territory, right? So we have never seen anything like this. It's been talked about. White athletes have wanted it. I wanted it when I was at St. John's University. And it's so new that things are still happening and things are still moving along, right? So there are questions that are still being unanswered because it's so new. So in June 30th, 2021 is when NIL became each state was able to bring this about, where an athlete can earn money by signing an NIL, name, image, likeness contract, which allows them to market their name, image, and likeness and receive payment for their name, image, and likeness. Now, let me tell you something. I would love to file a lawsuit and get money because I would have loved to have made money during college for all of this, right? So it's one of the things that now, especially with social media and being athletes being so transparent and so attainable, people are now and companies are now wanting these athletes to represent their brands. So athletes can accept money for product placements, advertisement, as well as public appearances, right? But sorry about that. Let me go through it really quick. So NIL is making it possible for different brands to reach their audience, their clients, their fans on a personal level, because it's kind of just like professional athletes, right? We always want their gear. What are they wearing? What are they using? What resources do they have? So now we're getting that on a college level. So now it gives student athletes an opportunity for partnerships with local businesses, right? Which is great because it could be from your hometown. Maybe there's a barber shop that's in town, or there's a local t-shirt shop. Now these local small brands can get that kind of notoriety on a larger scale from these athletes that now from their small hometown go to big Division I schools, right? They can also partner with brands that associate with the school that they're going to. So let's say, right, these are the little pasties, right? Sticky notes. So if there's a sticky note company that the school uses, that athlete can now partner with this sticky note company because they're affiliated with the school, right? So now they can make money that way. But the big thing, of course, is digital sponsorships. So 61% of all name, image, likeness deals from last year to this year were via social media. And that's what we're kind of going to jump into. So here are the forms of sponsorship and what it could look like, right? And again, I am a resource, guys. There is a lot of information out there on NIL deals, and that's what I keep. Name, image, likeness is NIL, and there's so much, right? There's so many different links. There's so many. I am just a resource, so I'm just going to be giving you guys information, facts, and so that you guys can have a better understanding of what NIL looks like. You guys can have a good base, and then ask questions, as you move along. And I'm assuming that most of the people on right now are viewing as a parent, right? And they're trying to understand. And a lot of times schools don't have the proper resources for NIL. There are great, D1, obviously, they're putting out all their resources. They're starting classes. The athletic department does know about all of the NIL information and deals, but there are some schools that do not. They do not have those resources. So again, I am just being a resource. You can get direct payment, of course, which is a sponsor pays you to use their products, right? And then you can get free product or service where, let's say you go and you get a meal, right? There's a place in town that everyone goes to eat. So you can either get their product in exchange for their promotion, or you can get a service like a haircut, right? Or getting your hair done in exchange for promotions. Affiliate money is you promote your sponsor to your audience on your social media platforms, and in return, your sponsor can give you, that brand can give you a percentage of the profits from your followers' engagement. So that could look like, for me, I love BlendJet, right? The BlendJet is a portable blender, and so that person, that anyone that I sell, the more BlendJets that I sell, I get a percentage of how many people are engaging with the actual promotion via social media and how many people use my code for the BlendJet and actually purchase the BlendJet. Okay. Now there's another one that's an ambassador relationship. So you're pretty much supporting the brand, and you're actually just getting money in exchange for, of course, your name, image, and likeness. But you're more of just kind of like a promoter, right? In that sense. Now, let's talk money. Money. So right now, the average payment is $1,800 a month. Now, that could look, that's the average. There are people with a lot more, but this is the monthly average right now of what student athletes are making based off their name, image, and likeness. So this could also, and I put the asterisks there because that doesn't mean just cash. That could be the value in kind, right? So if an athlete receives 3 pairs of sneakers, 10 t-shirts, and a haircut, and that could be valued at $1,000. So they get that gear and those services, and then on top of that, they can make the $800 in cash. So again, it's the balance of product, service, and cash value. The biggest thing I want everyone to understand is that athletes now with this NIL deal are now assets. They are a business. And we have to, in order to help them grow, we have to treat them like a business. That means they need to know their value. Okay, their value, and On3 is an actual company that does this evaluation. And these 3 are how we get the athlete's value and how other people are getting and saying what these athletes' name, image, and likeness value is. So it's based off their performance, right? Who's recruiting them? What are their stats? And in each sport, obviously, it's very different. The highest NIL deals are with football. right? Of course, college football is a huge entity. And then comes basketball, which you can get stats on. But it's a little bit more difficult for somebody like myself who had track and field. We're numbers, but track and field isn't as big as football, right? And my school didn't even have football. And St. John's doesn't have football. So it's one of those things where when you go on three, and again, use this resource, they're absolutely phenomenal. You can put all these stats in, they ask these questions, right? What your influence is. Of course, your influence is who's your followers? How, how attainable are you? How approachable are you through social media? LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. What are your followers? What's your engagement like? And then exposure. Exposure is the school that you're going. Where's your market? Are you in New York City? Are you in LA? Are you in Texas? Right? What's your conference? What division are you? D1, D2, D3. So they kind of put all of these elements into their own little data sheet. And then they give you the evaluation of what your value is according to the NIL deals. So the biggest thing is, whether you are starting this journey or you're in the middle of it, please do your research. Do exactly everything that you need if you are building a company, because you're building your brand. So you need to make sure that you're doing the research of what you're trying to attract, what your goal is, and how to achieve those through the right venues, right? Now, when you're negotiating a deal, right? There are many different areas to take and to think about, but you really need to use your school, use the college that you're at, right? They need to be there as a resource. Okay, the school is involved in an athlete's life from the beginning to the end, right? So they have so much control over the student's schedule, their health, their doctors that they're seeing, uh, everything. The coaches are involved, right? Student athletes are an asset to the school. So if they're talking about deals and the right information, the right resources, you absolutely should go to the school number one, because you need to also know, will this I'm sorry, I keep on stuttering over NIL. Will this NIL deal interfere with my scholarship? That's a question that your school should know. And there's also resources on gauging how much money through the NIL versus what you're getting through the school, right? So absolutely hold them accountable for what they are, what their rules are, what are the do's and do nots. And it also, for NIL deals, it goes by state. So the school should have an understanding of what the state laws are. So right now, because NIL is so new, a lot of athletes, there's no union, right? A lot of kids don't have agents. So please use that negotiations with the school as a resource. Now, here are some of the other facts, right? Like I said, there isn't a national standard for these NILs, right? It goes state by state. So you have to find out that information on what your state's rules are. I believe there's only 3 states that do not have an NIL plan. And I believe it's like Idaho and like Hawaii. Like there's just 3 random states that don't have it, but New York definitely does. New Jersey definitely does. Delaware, like everywhere in the tri-state area, they definitely do. This is also something that you might want to think about, is trademarking the student athlete's name, image, and likeness. Maybe the student athlete has a logo that they want, or they want to trademark their name. This is just a form of protection. Okay. And again, this all goes along with the research. And if you are really serious about being an athlete and wanting to get paid, then you got to do the base work and the foundation work to protect yourself, right? Because I said, now these students are, an asset. And I'm not a parent, but as a former athlete and a former D1 athlete, knowledge, protection, guidance, mentorship, these are all things that are super, super important when it comes to being a young student athlete. We have completely thrown out the book, and now these student athletes are being open to everything and anything without the years of experience. So we need to really protect them and make sure that they understand what they're getting into in terms of these NIL deals, right? So what these athletes need help with is deal making, right? This is not deal or no deal. Like, this is not a game show. This is their life. So they need to understand the value of the contract, understanding the contract. What are they signing? What the fulfillment, the details of each deal. You have to understand, like, if a company says, I want you to do an autograph signing at this location, an athlete doesn't just show up and that's the end of it. That's the end of it. No, they have to properly represent this brand and communicate effectively as to what it entails. How long am I staying at this signing? What am I supposed to wear? Do you want me to look a certain way? Am I doing a Q&A? Is there going to be media involved? These are all things that happen with these deals, right? Business management. This is something that I never ever even took in college, but it's something that these student athletes definitely need to be aware of. Understanding your finances, taxes, the forms that go along with it. You don't want to mess up right now because it could hinder an athlete in the future. We have all seen the documentaries of these pro athletes and these these famous singers or famous artists that unfortunately signed deals that they weren't understanding, they weren't reading, and it bit them in the butt later on, and they had to file for bankruptcy or they're broke. And so really understanding what these contracts look like, what they are, is very, very crucial. These student athletes are going to have to mature and have to raise the bar and elevate. And if they want to be taken seriously for these NIL deals, they need to make sure that they're doing all the research. Okay. Now, this is just a little side note. This is a personal thing. Please, these student athletes are now businesses. Okay. You have to, on top of mental health, on top of focusing on specifically their sport, they are a business. Okay. So if they want to make money, they have to be ready for it. Please give them all the tools and the resources needed. And that may not come from the school. So that needs to come from their family and their friends, making the right decisions and helping them. Have them take a business course, have them take a financial literacy course, right? We want to make sure that they're doing the right things right now that are going to help them now and in the future, okay? Because these deals can get very intricate, especially when this is so new, right? So we want to make sure that they are prepared and they have made the right decisions and they've thought it through. Here are some no-nos, okay? And again, I'm going to also make sure that you guys follow a page that I followed and I use as a resource at the end. But I was speaking with Jim Cavalli, and he started Influencer. And, I was asking him questions about NIL because this is his business, right? He's partnering with incredible companies and incredible people about NIL and the do's and the don'ts. So here were the top three that I truly believe make a difference. You're just student athletes, especially when they see a money sign, they're all about it, right? They're not thinking about everything. So don't just focus on the deal. You need to really, when you're partnering with a brand, it has to align with who that athlete is and what their character is. You can't if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you're not going to sign with a beef jerky company just to sign, right? You really have to align. And you don't want more deals, right? I feel like most people are like, oh, I got offered this, I got offered this, I got offered this. Take the time to look at what these brands are offering you and if it's aligning with that student athlete. please, because the more deals, the more problems, right? Because you want to make sure that each contract makes sense to you and it's attainable, right? So if a company says, I'll give you $1 million, but I need you to post 10 times a day, that's not, you have to go to the student athletes still have to be a student and an athlete. They still have to, practice. They still have to go see guidance. They still have to take those breaks, right? They still have to train. So I feel like you have to make sure that these deals are aligning with you and they make sense. This is one of the ones that Jim had said, signing with the rookie agent. Now, it is possible for you to get assistance through an agent, right? An agent is a great resource and a great tool, but some of them are kind of sleazy. Some of them are not the best. So when you're looking at this as an avenue, do your research, ask questions, go through their roster, reach out to the athletes on their roster, and make sure that it's going to make sense for this student athlete. You don't want to add to their stress, right? Or to their anxiety. You don't want to add something that's not going to make sense for them. So make sure that if that management is there, they have the best interest at heart for that athlete and it aligns with that athlete, right? You have to understand that these athletes are growing. They're in these different phases in their life. They're in these different chapters. This representation and these partnerships should grow as the athlete grows. And so I want you guys to understand also, student athletes are not allowed to get paid by the school for playing, for going and attending and playing at that school, just so that we're all on the same page. Brands can pay the students, but the school cannot. Okay. And just as another side note, a brand cannot say, if you play at so-and-so school, we got you covered. That's a no-no as well. 100%. Okay. So I want to make sure that we're all good. So in wrapping up, I want you guys to understand that NIL is amazing. It is so incredible that we are absolutely taking a step forward and trying to get the proper outlet for these student athletes to grow and to understand their name and to understand their value. And it, again, like I said, it does make them mature a little bit faster because now they're on the business side of things. But it has to make sense for these student athletes. It has to make sense for you as the family, as the mom, the dad, the sister, right? The brother. It has to align with them and not add any more stress to their plate. And you want to do as much research as possible. And so I'm going to also say right now, the person that I absolutely think you guys should go to if there's any kind of questions or you need more resources, because again, as I learn, I share, but this company does such a great job with understanding the student athletes, meeting them where they're at, and they're going to different schools and they're educating. And it's at N as in Nancy, FLCR, and that's on Instagram. And he's partnered with Tim Tebow. I mean, he's partnering with different colleges. He has an entire summit with speakers. So definitely check out Influencer. It is a software that these student athletes can trust, right? Because there's so much misinformation out there, but this is somebody that I absolutely trust. They are verified. And I'll try and put this up there so you guys can see. That's their logo. That's their icon. And then On3 is something that they partnered with as well, so that the student athletes can go get the resources necessary and get their evaluation. But it's a beautiful day and age. Things could look very, very different for 2023 as more laws come out, as more contracts are signed. But you don't ever want to block a blessing for a student athlete. This can absolutely change their life in the best possible way. And it allows them to understand themselves, their sport, and it allows them to enter rooms that they may not have entered for years down the road, right? So I love what NIL is doing. There are cons to it, of course, but I, you know, as a motivational speaker, you try and focus on the positive. So if we do the right things now, we set up these student athletes for incredible futures. So thank you so, so much for having me. I'm super, super grateful. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat. And at any time, you guys can always go contact me through LinkedIn, Priscilla Loomis, through Instagram. I'm very, very active on Instagram. It's Priscilla_Frederick. And you guys can slide on in my DMs and I can answer every question. And if I cannot, please let you know, I will send you to somebody that's a great resource and can definitely answer your question in full. If you guys, again, please, I want to be a resource. I always say that I just want to be a brick in everyone's foundation, right? So I don't have all the answers. I'm learning as I go and I'm growing, and I love this journey that I'm on. So please, if you guys have anything that you guys need from me, I want to be there as a resource, but I just want to be a brick in that foundation. I will never ever waver. I will never ever weeble or wobble. You can rely on me. I am an asset for you. I want to be there for you and, you know, give you the best advice that I possibly can. And like I say all the time, I don't know everything, but I'm learning and being the best person that I can for you guys. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for joining me on these last 3 sessions. It's been an incredible journey, and I've already been talking with Stacy about what I want to, you know, I want to help out with the next year of 2023. But I wish you nothing but a happy and healthy new year. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. And I'll leave you with just be the rising tide that lifts all ships. Okay. Start with you. If you want to change your life, start with yourself. Start with pouring love and happiness and knowledge and empowerment into yourselves every single day. If you need empowerment, let me know. Just slide it into my DMs and be like, Priscilla, it's a rough time. I need some empowerment. And you know, boo, I got you. I will be there. I will help you. Focus on you. There's nothing wrong with focusing on you to be the best version of you. So I wish you nothing but happiness, health, success, and prosperity in this coming up weeks and in the new year. And I am here for you if you need anything. Thank you so much for your time. I'm extremely grateful.
Thanks, Priscilla. I see a few questions came in. The first one is, can a student athlete seek their own NIL deals?
Yes, absolutely. So let's say a student athlete is, I mean, there's so many examples, but if they're looking for, because again, but go based off your state, but for right now, they can absolutely go to a local company and say, hey, would you like to partner? How can we make this work? If you need help with forming a contract, because some local places have never done this before, so they don't have the mindset or the knowledge to prepare something like this. So definitely come prepared. You can find all that information, of course, if you through the internet. There's so many different deals, but again, this is a question that I would definitely go to influencer for and just say, hey, what are some template contracts? And that's absolutely something that if you need my help with, I can absolutely get a template for you, and you know, we can email back and forth. But that's definitely something that athletes can do for their local companies. Yeah.
Do NIL deals have to be public with your university?
Yes, you should absolutely let your university know, because they might have stipulations in place. Because imagine if you have a deal with a shoe company and they want you to do a signing on the day of a meet or a game, right? So you want to make sure that it's public knowledge. Your school has to be in alignment with your deal. Yes, 100%. And that's where you can go to, of course you can go to guidance, but whoever your counselor is, they should point you in the right direction to who you need to speak with and make it public, of course, absolutely. Again, open communication with your school is very, very important because they have things in place that you might not know of because they're not making it public.
And finally, in your opinion, how has NIL affected recruiting?
You can look at it two ways. Because the school, there's always shadiness. Let me just put that out there. There's always shadiness when it comes to any kind of deal, right? In business. So I think the smartest thing was that they put that stipulation that you can't pay for to go to or attend a certain school, because I can definitely see that getting out of hand. In my honest opinion, I think when it comes to recruiting, it makes it a little bit sticky. I think sometimes, as a freshman, you're going through so much and there's so many things. There are kids out here making 6-figure deals. So I think when it comes to recruitment, it kind of makes it an unfair playing field, which that's life, right? Not everything is fair. So imagine you're going to an LSU just because their top athletes are making 6 figures and you can have them on your podcast, or that you can take a picture with them and gain followers, whereas somebody else might not have that access. So in terms of recruiting, it's just an unfair advantage, and there's so many things that paying athletes that it comes with. So when in terms of recruitment, and that's why I say focus on what the goal of the student athlete is, focus on what they want, because you can make incredible deals with your local businesses and smaller brands that are going to be a little bit more loyal than making this, I want to go to a big D1 school because they're a bigger name, right? And the athletes are making more money. Every athlete has value. So you have to figure out how to negotiate that value. And I think it also kind of hinders, in a sense, student athletes' work ethic, right? So all of these things come into play, but if they do it correctly, and again, you're asking student athletes to mature a lot faster, you have to take into account how the school can help your brand. And that's something that was never an issue before. So in terms of recruiting, yeah, it's just it's an uneven playing field, which that's life. Like I said, not everything is going to be fair. Not everything is going to go the way you want it to. But if that's an early lesson that these student athletes are going to learn, better to learn it now. Might as well. You're going to learn it some way.
Well, thank you, Priscilla. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. For more information on Priscilla and her complete bio, please go to www.stjohns.edu/APD series. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day.